Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and the first career race. I'm starting a new season. I've never been round half of these tracks. I don't know what car I'm going to pick, but I've heard a lot of people say that the 80% or 88% opponent skill sort of difficulty rating is too low. So I think one of the main things we're going to change is that opponent skill level. We're going to put it up to 95%, and we're going to put some loads of cars on the grid, 24 cars on the grid, and see how we get on. It's only going to be a short series, I think, sort of 5 or 6 races, but should give you guys some insight into sort of racing against the AI, and obviously it's going to help me learn how to race on this game as well, because I haven't really done any racing yet. I've just been getting used to the game and getting used to how it feels and what to do, really. So I know what to do, but I don't know anything about tyres, tyre pressures really, when to change onto wet tyres and all that sort of thing. So the format of the race is it's a sprint race weekend, so we're going to do a couple of practice sessions and then a couple of really short qualifying ones. We want these to be under pressure, so we've got 1 or 2 laps to really set our best, and let's dive into really, I've been running for 5 or 6 minutes here, and I've just set a pretty good lap time on in pre-practice to, well, what I thought was a good lap time anyway. And you can see that I'm just dropping down the order. I said it, I was second. By the 3rd corner, 4th corner, I'm already 9th. I had a sinking feeling at this stage. 10th, 11th. We're just dropping down the order, and we actually end up the session in 20th, which quite frankly is embarrassing. So at that point I had a really bad sinking feeling. I was tempted to restart it and turn that difficulty down, but we stuck with it. You can see it's just starting to rain, so let's take a look at the first qualifying lap from qualifying 1 into Graham Hill Bend here. We're getting we're getting the hang of the game. It's the first time I'm driving in the rain, so it's a little bit different from driving in the dry. Obviously, there's clearly not as much grip, but I don't really know how the car's going to react. We're still on dry tyres, and I know there is a crossover point, but it's certainly not anywhere near where it is at the minute. It's quite a wet track. I think we need to change on this game, so we're just trying to get a clean lap. You can see actually we dirtied our first flying lap, and we're down in 29th, and we're missing a few apexes, a little bit under pressure here. There's not really that much left of qualifying, so we're just trying to get a lap in, and we're just trying to conquer this whole short qualifying session, which is traditionally something I've been good at on other games, but I think on this one, I'm trying to get used to it. That extra added pressure just makes me tighten up a little bit, and not the greatest lap really that I'm putting together here. But anyway, across down the start finish straight, and or Brabham straight really it's called, and we crossed the line, and actually not a terrible lap. 4th place, really not that far off first. So I mean, what my conclusions are from that is that the 95% AI is about right for me. I probably could go a bit higher, but for now it's okay. So we join in qualifying 2. Obviously there's 2 sessions, 2 races. You can see the conditions are completely different. It's so much warmer. It's not really drizzling with rain anymore, and the tyre pressures are definitely a little bit too high on the left-hand side of the track. We've already set a lap time. We've managed to not dirty our first lap, but you can see we're dropping down the order again, and I'm getting that sinking feeling as we're coming into Surtees, and run wide over all these bumps. We're going to lose loads of time up the straight because of that, into Hawthorns. Ironically, we're named Hawksworth as well, so I'm getting that sinking feeling again that really, actually, maybe the AI is too difficult for me, but we'll crack on and see how this lap goes, because we are up at the minute. We're sort of just best part of 2 tenths up going into the final sector. Traditionally, I really struggle with that right-hander there. I tend to go wide a lot of the time, and I'm still getting used to being in car view. As obviously, those of you who have followed me on Forza know that I race 3rd person behind the car, so I'm really struggling to adjust to where the left and right-hand side of the cars are, especially the right-hand side if I'm sitting on the left-hand side of the car, where that is on the track. But anyway, across the line, we actually managed to improve by a fair bit, and obviously a much faster time than qualifying 1, and end up in being second on the grid. So, flick to the race, first ever race start really. I don't really know what to do. I was sort of on half throttle, just keeping pace with everyone else, but I didn't realise I could be on full throttle there, and the game sort of pegs me back. So someone gets the jump on me really off the start. They're actually ahead at this point. Try and hang it out around the outside, get a bit of a kick of oversteer, which was a little bit scary. I thought, oh god, first race, we're going to have to restart the whole thing, but not this time. Managed to save it, and we have a bit of a battle with them through the first section, but managed to just carve out a good line coming out of Druids and into Graham Hill Bend, where we get a good exit as well. And we're starting to stare at the back of this Lamborghini Mapel, and let's see if we can do anything with him. Flashing his brake lights. Try to go up the inside. We just get a kick of oversteer on that bump that's on the inside there. It's a ghastly corner to get right. It really is. But when you do get it right, you fly around them. And it seems like our Lexus is a bit quicker down the straight than that Lambo. I don't know if it's the way we've got it set up, but it just adds another element in. First race, we're top 4 at the minute, and it's just started to drizzle again. I'm thinking, oh my words, could this get any more difficult? Really? Can I just have one clean race just to start it off? And as you can see, a sort of couple of laps in now, we're just starting to find our feet. We're a second and a half or so ahead of 5th place. We're still looking at the back of this Lamborghini. I'm getting a little bit anxious really, but he makes a mistake into that left-hander. We get quite a good run, and we're just starting to draw him in now. We're starting to gain some confidence, and I know the sort of psychological side doesn't really play a part for the AI, but we get a good run over there. We do lose a little bit of time over those bumps, but we know that our car is superior in straight lines like that Lambo. We're half a second up on our best lap time so far. We think about it, but we let off. Make sure we're in third nice and early to get the nose tucked in, and see if we can keep some pressure on through this right hand section. It surprises us with a little bit of an early break and end up running wide and get a huge kick of oversteer really, and that's that for the time being. But it takes us a little while. He dives into the pitch, which is my opportunity now. It's just started to spit with rain. What tyres is he going to choose? Is he going to go on wets? Is he going to stay on dry? I mean, really, he does have to stay on dry. But this is really my opportunity to put my foot down, hammer time as they would call it, and get some good laps in. But immediately just ruin that by running wide into Druids, which is unfortunate. We lost a good 6/10 there, and that's going to hinder us later in the race, as you see, as we're now in this situation where it's still raining. The tyres are stone cold to the point where we've lost so much pressure. It's come up. But wet tyres are optimum now, and I'm really struggling. We're over 3 seconds a lap slower around this track, and I've got to dive into the pits. I've got to do it. And actually, the first pit stop I'm doing on this game, remember not to get a penalty, which is just about to even clip the wall on the right hand side there. So it's just a flick through, coming out the other side. See there's someone else at the pits behind me serving their mandatory pit stop. We've done our drivers change, and away off we go. We've kept the dry tyres on because we've switched to wet tyres, because obviously it did flash up saying wet tyres are optimum. We seem to have come out in a bit of traffic. We've got Engel behind us in what looks like a 458, and just really struggle. I mean, I've got absolutely no idea how much grip I've got on these tyres. It's the first time on wet tyres, but you can already see that the pressures are too high. They're not dropping anything like the dry tyres were in this situation. So even though wets may be optimal, I've a little bit of inexperience here. I've not been able to get the pressures right, and you can see the right hand side's already cooking round 30. So God knows what the left, the front left's going to really suffer through Hawthorns up here in Westfield. So let's see if we can manage these tyres. They're both over 30 psi already. We're really going to struggle, but we're looking at the back of the Lamborghini again. Obviously they've done their driver change as well. Let's see if we can reel them in. I'd imagine they stayed on dry tyres because they pitted earlier, and at the time it wasn't really raining, unless they've got that sort of crystal ball, and they look like they're struggling a little bit. We're really starting to reel them in quite heavily. So going to the final corner, Clark Curve it's called. Been around here myself in a couple of cars, so really technical corner, actually difficult to get the nose tucked in but then not oversteer. There's a bit of a nasty bump on the on the apex of it, so quite difficult to get a good run onto the start-finish straight and not overdrive it, so you're just going to run wide. That Lambo really struggling now. I think it probably is still on its dry tyres, which obviously isn't ideal, but you can see we're absolutely cooking our tyres at the minute. Almost 33 psi on the front left, 31 as we run wide, and a kick of oversteer, and we're in the wall. Just a bit of inexperience there running over the curb in that wet weather. You just got to think, don't be too aggressive and go over those curves when it is wet, even with the wet tyres. The white line is always slippery, so unfortunately we did make up some ground. We gained a good sort of 2 seconds on the two guys in front of us, but I actually had no confidence. The tyres were just so hot that they just weren't giving me any bite into the road, so I thought, let's play it safe. Let's take the 6th place. It's the first race of the championship, remember, so I've got plenty of time to try and improve and make some places up, and across the line in 6th we go. A bit disappointing, we had 3rd probably in the bag there. We were going to go past that Lamborghini, and we ended up losing about 6 or 7 seconds from that spin, so to be only really 6 or 7 seconds off the leader, then who would have known really. So prime time to pit really served us well there, but unfortunately my mistake, that inexperience coming out of Graham Hill Bend just cost us there. So 2nd race, a little bit more experience in this race start now. I don't think we'll be in 2nd gear, 1st gear again, so let's try 2nd gear. It is cold though, and you can see the tyres are already losing pressure, and I'm not that confident about how we're going to go here. But you can see we've chosen the wet tyres. Okay, so in hindsight, not a great move. Okay, so I thought the last race finished on wet tyres, and the conditions look roughly the same. But as you'll see, it's really not a great move. It might serve well initially, but you can see those pressures already going through the roof. We're already past our ideal on the front and the back, and even just driving in this straight line is sending them through the roof. I haven't learnt my lesson from getting on that curb in the first race either, so it's not going great in terms of sort of improvement and all that sort of thing. But we are chasing down this Audi, and we get a great run coming out of Surtees using those wet tyres. These guys are probably on dries, using our superior straight line speed as well, probably got a little bit less aero, and we dive up the inside of Hawthorne. And I love passing on this corner because there isn't really anywhere the opponent can go, the other car can go. They're just going to drift out wide and go in that gravel, so they have to back out of it. It's a really good place to sort of psychologically edge people, even if it is just the AI. But doing these careers, you're starting to think about what you need to do online, and that isn't go wide around the corner, which, like I said at the start of the video, I really struggle with in these cars. So we're back in a situation where we're down in 4th again on the wet tyres, and we're just going to be losing more and more grip as they get hotter and hotter. You can see, look how much more speed that Merc carried through the final corner. So we've been into the pits. We took the first opportunity to pit. I just couldn't wait any longer. I couldn't stay out, and we're on the dry tyres. But unfortunately, we didn't get the pressures up enough, and because it's so cold and because it's still damp, it's unfortunately we're down at really minimum psi. So they're absolutely stone cold again. So the fact that we're almost thought I had a puncture when that came up. So really low tyre pressures. It's going to be interesting to see as the track dries out. We're halfway through the race here really. It's just starting to come to us. We're just starting to feel the road drying out a little bit. But as you can see, we've got that Aston Martin right behind us, and I've still got no grip, absolutely no grip. Whereas before we had overinflated tyres, the pressures were through the roof. Now we've got the opposite, and it's been a real sort of tale of two halves really. As we're finally learning to stay off that curb on the right hand side coming out of Graham Hill. As you see, that Aston super close behind me as we come over the start finish straight, but it is starting to dry out now. We can see we've just beaten our time. We're in the 29s once more. We've got this whole host of cars that just seem to have come out of the pits in front of us all together in the train, so we need to make the most of this. Still dry on, still wet on the curves on the outside there, but really we need to capitalise. This Ferrari is one we've sort of been dicing with a few times over the course of the 2 races, and there's our favoured Lamborghini up ahead of us. Really are turning a little bit too late. They get a kick of oversteer, have to get out the throttle. So again, thought I'd learn my lesson there, but really haven't. It's been my Achilles heel throughout this race is Graham Hill bends, really. This one as well, trying to avoid the curb on the outside, otherwise you're just going to really struggle up this straight. Into Hawthorns then, make sure you get the nose tucked in early into 3rd gear, get on the power, use the diff to turn the car around, and we need to see if we can make some sort of headway into the cars in front, because they're all going to be fighting. We can afford to maybe make a couple of mistakes pushing that little bit harder. Obviously not really serious ones where we're diving off the track, but just pushing the car a little bit more, trying to take some more out of these tyres to get some heat in them as well. And actually that's what we start to do around the second half of this lap. We really start to push quite nicely but neatly at the same time, so it's efficient speed. And these guys are really starting to battle now and losing time. As you can see, the one ahead's got the one at the front of this group's got ahead, and then there's a gaggle of 4 cars which are starting to slow each other up. So really our time to shine with 3 minutes left in this race. And Paddock Hill, I've actually been in this gravel trap myself on the left hand side in real life and on Formula 4, so deceptively difficult that corner into Druids and then down to Graham Hill Bend. We're definitely starting to make up time on that Ferrari now as we're starting to conquer these cold tyres. Speak too soon as we destroy the little markings on the inside of the bend there and get that kick of oversteer again. But not to worry, because they are fighting, we can get away with those sort of mistakes. It's all about getting a good run out of here, which I get a bit of oversteer. Remember, we're just using the aggressive preset setup here, so much improvement to be made in this setup, and the tyre pressures are so cold, but we've managed to catch up. This does make me think, even with these mistakes, that the AI at 95 is potentially, and I know we're not winning, so don't take this the wrong way, potentially a bit too slow for me at the minute. But I'm going to try it on 100% at some point. But for the time being, as we almost run wide there, for the time being, I think I'm going to keep it on 95. Going into the final corner then, we've got 2 minutes left in the race, and we seem to have caught up and got in this sort of stalemate situation here, and we don't have that long to capitalise. We can definitely see the pressures increasing now, the track's starting to come to us, there's a dry line approaching, those guys are following it there. I don't really like staying low along the start-finish straight and then coming up onto the hill, or virtually turning left into the first corner. It doesn't really sit well with me as they really start to hold each other up and almost catch me out under braking on the right hand of this. They're definitely going to be vulnerable into this Graham Hill bend as they go for a bit of a lunge, bit of contact, a little bit cheeky there. Probably wouldn't have gone for that online, if I'm honest with you. I definitely wouldn't have gone for that online, but you're always thinking about trying to capitalise on the AI when doing these career races. And we get a really good run out of Surtees, which is excellent. It's one of the first times we've managed to do that, get a smooth entry and exit. The track really starting to come to us, even with that overtake now. We're 2 tenths up on our time. Third gear nice and early, and actually grab the throttle quite well here. Don't run wide, and the guys ahead are really starting to slow each other up. This Lambo that we've been dicing with all the time, through the first race, ended up spinning trying to overtake him, and in the second race as well. I really want to get one over this guy, so definitely going to try and sort of capitalise on this as well. As actually he makes a mistake into the second final corner, and we've got superior straight line speed, and we're definitely going to have an opportunity to use it coming out of this final corner. We get a good entry, nice and smooth on the exit. He gets a little bit of oversteer, and we're going to try and go around the outside of him here, because he's taken that inside line nice and early. He's going to come over to the left hand side, he's going to try and squeeze us out, which really does get on that slippery, greasy, wet surface there. Have to drop into second gear. It's got a little bit of run, but he stays really close to the inside, and unfortunately we outbrake ourselves again into the second corner, which seems to be a favourite of mine. These, turn 2 and 3 really struggling as I get over the curb, but nice and smooth on the power, so it doesn't flick me over to the left hand side like it did in the first race. Dry line really showing us we need to get a good run out of here. A little bit of oversteer, but it's good enough, and we're in that slipstream now with our increased top speed here. We're going to overtake the number 563 Lambo, I think, up into my favourite corner. into Hawthorns, force them onto the outside, make sure you're on the apex. There's absolutely nowhere for them to go then. There's no way back. As soon as you're on the outside of that corner, it's difficult to do. No, final seconds of the race really. The leader is almost finished, definitely on the final lap, and you know, we seem to be absolutely flying up to the back of this Mercedes, even though our pressure is still really low. We seem to be driving quite well now, and they're sort of this double Mercedes duel, and number 4 in front of us. You know, I thought, you know, why not? They've been dicing. He might break a little bit early to avoid him, and that's exactly what he does. And we get a huge kick of oversteer, almost end up in the pit lane on the last lap, and across the line to finish in 6th place. I'm pretty chuffed about that. I hope you guys enjoyed that, because I certainly enjoyed racing it and sort of commentating on it, and hope you tune in for the next one. As always, guys, any likes, subscribes are appreciated, and see you guys next time.
Clear on the left.